There are many great new features in Dynamics 365 Business Central 2020 Release Wave 1, one of which is a refinement to the existing functionality for approval requests. An approval can now have feedback added to each step, so that anyone involved can be notified of changes to the approval request. For example, the sender can be notified when the request is approved or rejected. If a user creates a new purchase order and an approval process is in place, they will not be able to release the purchase order until it's submitted for approval. Once submitted for approval, the order status is set to pending approval, and a notification is sent to the set approver or approvers depending on the setup on the workflow. This can be an email or a notification. If I switch to the other account for the approver, so I'm now in the administrator, and if I return to my role center, I see that I've got a request to approve on this queue here. I also will have an email. So here we see my email message informing me as the approver that I've got a request for approval for this purchase order that's been created by George Techman. If I'm signed in with the same account within the system, I can click the link here and be taken to that purchase order. Within the system, I can also do this from the approvals queue. So here's the request to approve, click to see the actual request, and I can make my decision: approve, reject, or delegate. So I'm going to approve, and that's cleared from my list. If I return to my email account, now here I'm using the same email account for the demonstration purposes. The first email was sent to Mod Administrator, the actual approver, to warn them of the approval that needed their attention. Now George Techman, who was the originator of the request, has had an email to alert him to the fact that there's been a change and the approval has been accepted. If we go and take a look at the actual purchase order, I see its status is now released, but if I wanted to make any amendments, so if I were to reopen and increase the quantity, I would need to go back through the approval process. So I request approval, so I return to the administrator account. I have a request to approve, which I'm going to reject. If I return to my email account, I see that George Techman has had a message to inform him that the approval has been rejected. And the document itself will now be open rather than released. All of this is possible due to the new workflow response. If I view the workflow, this is the workflow we were just using, and on two of my key stages, so when it's approved and when it's rejected, I've got another response. I've got the new workflow response there set to send a notification to the sender.